as I present to you and introduce to others none other than Brother Derrick Butts. Come on, let's give it to him.
There's a lot to live up to, so I just want to say thank you to Pastor Williams for allowing this opportunity for me to share with you this morning. Of course, as I kind of just not been the police of your plate, but I have watched and looked, we have put down some calories this morning, right? Yeah. And so in the course of a men's breakfast, it is always good for us as men to gather together to really set ourselves apart to have men time. This is a good thing. You know, I've been able to be a part of the church. I've been a part of the Men's Monday that you guys were having. I've been over there for some of those meetings. Winston and I, we bowl together. So we men, there's certain stuff that just as men, we just do. So just looking though, I'm just thinking, how many calories do you think we put down this morning as just a collective group, right? We did something, right? We did something. So again, it's good. We're going to have a good time as he shared. So here's what my goal is for this morning. Last night you had a powerful speaker, I heard. Y'all came in here, you've been telling me about Brother Jonathan Bay, I believe. He shared with you last night. So it sounds like he preached it up. Did he do a good job? Okay. And then it sounds like tonight Bishop Kevin Dickerson is going to be there. If you've never heard him, he's going to preach the house down. And then tomorrow we're going to close it out with none other than Pastor Williams. So it sounds like you're going to get some preaching, all right? So if you don't mind, today I'm just wanting to talk to you. Is that okay? We're going to just talk. And in the course of our talk, I really want us to have an experience. Okay, we're going to have an experience this morning. So what that means to me is I'm going to do a few exercises with you, plus some empowerment. And I believe that the combination of those two things equal our experience. So it's going to be interactive. Okay, so it's not going to just be me, blah, at you. It's going to be us interacting one with another. So again, yes, my name's Derrick Butts. I have a company called Assist You to Win, the connecting place for winners. So if you don't mind, what I want you to do at some point, you don't have to do it yet, but at some point I want you to go on to social media, and I want you to go find this page. It's Assist, the letter U, the number 2, Win. Assist You to Win. Just click that like button. That's all you got to do. Just click the like button. It don't cost you a dime just to click that button, right? So Assist You to Win, you'll just go on there and you'll click it. You don't have to do it right now, because maybe right now you don't know if you want to do it. At some point, though, there's going to be an activation. You're going to say, you know what, I need to follow this guy. And so you're going to click on there and just click that button. So I want you to do that. Now, each table had a brother that was in charge. They were in charge. So you should have, at this point, every table, you should have a little bit of notepad. Okay, so this little notepad. So this notepad is very important today. And let me tell you why. Most of you didn't come in today with pens and pads and all that stuff. So what I did is I wanted to provide you with something to write down your ahas. Now I want you to hear me. In the course of any time that you are in the presence of somebody speaking, be it at church, be it on TV, be it on YouTube, there's always an aha moment. And here's the deal. Your ahas will turn into your I haves when they're activated. When we learn to activate the aha moment, that moment that jumps off the page just for you, when you activate that aha, that's going to help turn you into your I haves. Think about it. Great message. We call it logos in the word, right? But there's a rhema portion of it that speaks directly to you. Complete word is the word of God. But the rhema word is that which jumps off and says, man, I needed that for this moment in my time. How many of you had a conversation with somebody and they didn't even know, but they said something in the course of the conversation and you were like, oh man, I needed that nugget. And it was that nugget that when you put that into practice, turned into whatever you needed it to turn into. So this little sheet right here is going to be very important for you. There's going to be an aha moment as we go through this morning. Then real quick, I got two things here. So one of my coaching clients, his name's Kenneth Smith. This is him on the back of this book. This young man, I met him about a year ago, and he joined one of my programs that I have. And in the course of the year, he's just, I mean, I have two of them that I just battle. Which one is like killing the game the highest? But Kenneth completed his book, and this book right here, if you have kids, or if you just are a parent and you want to really impact and influence them, here's a book that you need to get your hands on. 10 Things I Wish I Knew Before I Turned 18. Now some of us think, man, if I could go back, think about it right now. If you went back, some of the stuff you know today, if you went back though and could put that into practice when you were 18, where would you be right now, right? And so our obligation is to leave our society better than we've entered it, right? So 10 Things I Wish I Knew Before I Turned 18. You can get this book right here. Now, we don't have a lot of them, because this is what I always do. I sell his books, I give my book. Okay? So you can get 2 books today for $10. All the proceeds go to him, and I want you'll just get a copy of this. This is a bookwork. It's called the DGCP Method for Winners. This right here, we'll get through that. It's free, so guess what? You get it. You want these 2 already? All right. There you go. All right. There we go. There's 2 of them gone already. He wanted to make sure he got it. Oh, you got the next 2. Okay. All right. Well, shoot. Here we go. Let me make sure you get your 2. Now that's it. Here we go. We got to get into our lesson. All right. Let's get one of these here. So exercise 1. Just get 1 sheet, pass it around. Let me have a few of those back. I think I gave y'all too many. All right. Get 1 of these sheets. We're going to pass it around. And you got 10 minutes to complete exercise 1. So I'm going to stop talking because you got 10 minutes to complete exercise 1. Okay? So on the back of your sheet, you can jot down some notes if you're taking notes this morning, or of course on your sheet that I talked about. So the reason why I wanted to do this here is that this is your starting point. So if you look at some of the questions that we asked ourselves there, you ask yourself, when were you born? That's your starting point of life. We all have some place in our world that's a starting point. So right now, my kid, he's at the University of Houston running track. He's a freshman there. And so I've been going down to the track meets a little bit more. And in the course of going to track meets, one of the things that always puzzled me growing up, and actually my daughter asked one of the last track meets, she said, Dad, how come some people get to start at a different place than others? It's just not fair for this person to be able to start further up the track than this person right here. Well, of course, we all know that it appears to be different, but truth be told, the track still has the same distance around. We have to understand, regardless of where you started from. Me and Winston started in 1977. There was somebody hollering out 63. Then we got 76 over here. That is your starting point. We all have a starting point of life. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, your starting point came from someplace, somewhere. And your paradigm got shaped based on your experiences, your education, your exposure, and your environment. Those 4 factors has shaped how you perceive life as it is today. So it becomes the way we think, our mentality, how we approach life, how we go after life, based on those 4 factors: your experiences, your education, your environment, and your exposure. So we have now come to a place that some of us feel that your starting point is better than my starting point. But I want to tell you this morning that you need to understand that it may look different, but we all have the same distance we have to run, and that's called life. Yeah. Right. Your point that you start at could be different. And it's okay, because different does not mean deficient. Different just means it's different. Right. We have a different perspective based on where we've been, what we've encountered, what we were taught. We have a different perspective. And some of us, as our education has continued through life, not just school, but through life, we have allowed now new thoughts to come in and change or challenge the perspective of our past. When you're in track, what do they always tell you? You have to stay in your lane or you're disqualified. So not only do you have a starting point, but you got a lane. In the lane that you're supposed to run in, you better stay in the lane. There's grace for your race when you stay in your lane. But when we get outside of our lane, that's the place where we start to make things happen that we shouldn't have made happen. We start to make mistakes that we didn't have to make because we got outside of our lane. So I want you to think about your starting point. Think about what you're running. Think about the race that you're running. So you got to stay in your lane. But you got to also run based on how you trained, not how I trained. Right? My kid runs the 800. And in the course of running the 800, you have two different types of mentality to approach that 800. You get some guys that come out the gates and they just go. Well, if I try to run the race the way you prepared for the race, I'm maybe going to make some mistakes. David's a great example of that, right? David goes and he's, of course, with the battle, when he approaches the battle, and here's Goliath, David says, don't put that armor on me because that armor hasn't been tested. Just give me some rocks. What is it that you know works for you? What is it that you do that you know, this is my way, this is how I do, this works for me? Because sometimes we are trying to adopt something that's not ours, and when we do, anything that's adopted, you will not continue in that forever because you only are going to build what you birth. What you adopt, you normally drop. So the first exercise, starting point. Starting point. Where are you at right now? Where did you start from? What is life like for you? Why are you the way you are? Why is man the way men are today based on, why are we the way we are? What did the locker room teach you? What did the locker room tell you? Why do we carry ourselves the way we carry ourselves? Why do we frown? Why is being hard the way that we have to be? Why? Is it through our experiences, what you've encountered? What's your viewpoint now about what life is? Does people still owe you something? Or does the air you breathe give you opportunity to change your world and have a different reality? Where are you at? How'd you get here? Where are you going? What's in front of your race? Your starting point. Let's go to exercise 2. The first thing we talked about is our starting point. That we've all have a starting point. But here, these questions really talk about the change. Right? It talks about changes. And that we have to be able to continue through life, through the changes of life. Think about the things that you changed. So we talked about 3 places, 3 jobs that you had. Somebody give me some jobs that we had. Okay, a waiter. Okay, was a waiter. Worked at the slaughterhouse. Okay, salesman, truck driver. What else we got in here? Been an electrician. Okay, what else? What'd you say? Security guard.
Flashlight or gun?
Unarmed. School teacher. Now look here. The point I'm making here is your professions also have changed. Okay? I want you to catch something real quick. Is that if we're not careful, we'll judge our life over a chapter of the life, when that's just the season of our life. And seasons can end, seasons begin and end. They can change, and we have to be okay with dealing with life through the changes. People say change is difficult or change is hard. But truth be told, no, it's not. Because if I told everybody to get up and change chairs, you can change just like that. We need to remember that change is not always bad, and sometimes change is not you changing it, but it changing you. When I think about change, I always think about the term, you heard this, control the controllables. So when I think of change, I think of FP and N. FP and N says, do I have full control, partial control, or no control? some of the most frustrating times of my life is when I'm trying to have control over something that I really don't have any control over, and I have to just go with what it is. And then sometimes I don't realize what I do have control over, that it doesn't have to be the way it is if I would be intentional in the things that I do. When we really think of change, I believe people change 1 or 3 times. There could be more, but let me give you 1 or 3 times. Either you heard enough that you have to. Anybody been there before? Anybody been there? You heard enough that, God, dog, I got to do something different. I'm tired of this like this, and I heard enough that I have to change. So now I'm ready to change. Sometimes it's I learned enough that I want to change. You ever picked up a good book and that inspired you? You learned something, man, and I learned enough that, watch this, my learning created a yearning inside of me. Okay? The reason why I love being around people of thought is because their thought and their words trigger things. Brother TK, he's sitting here. When I met him, there were books that on day one, the first time I met him, while I'm sitting there when we got introduced, he purchased me a book. That book sent me down a train of thought that challenged my thought. But it impacted my life, and he didn't write it, but he suggested it, and he bought it for me. Yeah. You don't know what a seed will do for you in your world. Do you realize the power of one word in your world? The power of one idea? The power of one thought? The power of one thing you change. Put the dominoes up, change one thing, push one domino over, and it can have a ripple effect in your whole world. Heard enough that you have to change. Learn enough that you want to change. Receive enough, number 3, that you're able to change. Sometimes you just receive enough. And because of what you receive, you're now able to go and make these changes. But I want you to focus on this next statement I'm going to make to you. Sometimes as men, we focus so much on doing and not enough on being. We focus so much on doing something, and we don't spend enough of our time on being something. My question to you is, are you being who you want to be right now? If not, you need to walk through the change. You need to change. Well, how do I change? Okay, great. Glad you asked that question. The how is not as important to me first of the what and the why. What is it that you want to be, and why do you want to be that what? Because if your why gets defined, you will figure out the how because of the why of your life. See, your why is the motivator. It's the driver. It's the very thing that you can do. Okay? Amazon, founder of Amazon is who? Who? Y'all know? What'd you say?
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos, okay. Financial Peace University, founder is who? You know.
Financial
y'all know.
Radio.
Yep, on the radio. Dave Ramsey. Okay, watch this. 2 different trains of thought. Would you put both of them as successful?
Absolutely.
One man says don't borrow any money. Don't get into no debt possible. Don't take any money, pay cash for everything. And guess what? It works for him. The next man says, okay, I'll use somebody else's money. And he's built Amazon, and it works for him. Right. The point I'm making to you is you have to pick a model, and you have to trust it and follow it. But if you go and try to pick all these things, you'll be all over the place. But how do I change? I find something that I want, that it's there, and I start to emulate and model those things that I see. And the best way I've learned to do this is, listen to this, learn less and apply more. Learn less and apply more. The reason why I tell you that is because the more information you get, the more responsibility you are to the information you have. And the more information you put in is the reason why most people are frustrated, because you know that you're not living out the stuff that you know about. Think about your real frustration when it's just you, the mirror, and yourself that you talk to. You're not really frustrated with the things that you say out of your mouth. Those are just the excuses that you use in order to justify to yourself that it's okay for me to be where I'm at. But you're really frustrated with you, because if I would have applied some of the things that I already know, I would be in a different place right now. So the conversation really is application. It's not information. It's actually application. So the easiest way to get to application is to learn less and apply more. So when I took this whole model on, 2017, I stopped reading a lot of books and I started just reading a few. I've read this book here. I'm going to give it to you. You really want to change? Here's one of the most powerful books I read on change, The One Thing. I've read this book, The One Thing, probably 10 times. And every year, at the beginning of the year, right around November, I read The One Thing, because it helps me set up my year. Because know what it did? It helped me stop doing this, and it helped me think about this. You need to understand, I listen to all these professions, but can I tell you, there is a niche that if you'll dig a ditch in, it'll turn into your riches. There is a niche that if you just dig a ditch in your niche, it'll turn into riches. I don't care what it is you do nowadays, you can make money in it. Hot dog contest on ESPN. You can just stuff your mouth and eat hot dogs. If you get good enough eating hot dogs, they'll pay you. You can shoot videos good, right? Shoot videos well enough, get on YouTube, they'll pay you. Jump rope. Get you a couple people and learn how to really, flip it around and do all this stuff, and man, they'll pay you. So don't tell me that what you have is not special. You just have to start looking at what you have as special. So the awareness of what's special and what we deem as special has to change, because you don't look at the mirror and say, I am somebody. We look at the mirror and we say, look at all of my insecurities, my deficiencies, look at all the things that I'm not, and we focus too much of our time in that area instead of focusing our time in the things that are unique about you. When you look at a man and tell him you are gifted, yeah, look at somebody. Tell him you are gifted. You don't understand the power of this room right now, and the things that are inside of this room right now. What's the name of the conference? Ignited. Let's go to exercise 3 and we're going to wrap this up. There's some of you men that have been around some of these men in this room, and you're learning about them, and you didn't know all this stuff. Let me help you. Pastor just said to you that he wanted to talk to the whole man. We have to get beyond the place that your spirituality keeps people away from your reality. Until the spiritual world becomes your new way of doing things, but it needs to get in the way of and intersect with your reality. Let me show you what I mean. If you're not careful, on Sunday morning you're going through and you're struggling, but your spiritual words keep me from even knowing.
Right. You're right now. Say it again.
Hallelujah. Oh yes. Glory to God. It's good. Oh, it's going to work. Yes, Lord. But you at that point just need me to be your brother. Hey man, can you pray for me, man? I'm going through. I had a tough week this week. But we can't do that, because remember that thing we talked about in your past? The way you were raised said that a real man, they don't do that. A real man, he can't be authentic, because I don't know if you have ulterior motives towards me. And I don't know if you're going to use that against me. If I told you my real struggle, you're now going to deem me as not a spiritual person. Why? Because I was struggling? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The place that is the hospital, you're going to now deem me, not give me the medicine I need because I can't come in here and tell you I'm sick?
That's good, sir.
I can't share with you who I really am and what's really going on in my world, but I have to just continue to make sure my suit looks good and my words that come out my mouth look good, I'm smelling good, and you think everything is good, and I got to keep fighting this thing isolated from the people that's supposed to help me? And you wonder why we ain't reaching and keeping some of the people we got. It's because people don't want to fake anymore. See, the men's conference called Ignited is going to ignite back into you that which has already been lit in you at a previous time.
Yeah.
See, ignited is a past tense word, which means you need to ignite that which has been ignited. So there's things that have already been a part of your world that you got to ignite. And that's what I want to talk about. I'm giving you 4 things, and I'm done this morning. 4 things that need to be ignited in your world. You better catch these things this morning. The 4 things go like this. The first thing you better ignite is your dreamer. Yeah. You got to ignite your dreamer. That's the D. I'm about to walk you through DGCP. So if you don't know, here it comes. So the first thing you ignite is your dreamer. You have to dream again. And you have to get to the place that you dream about the real thing and stop lowering it to this thing based on wherever you've been. I call it don't suck the pacifier. The reason why I say don't suck the pacifier is the pacifier and the bottle, they have the same sucking sensation. One pacifies, one gives you nutrients. Too many times we have sucked the pacifier and we continue to let the irritations of our life be pacified, and we do not, watch this, we don't face it. Whatever you don't face, you can't fix. And the reason why we don't fix it and face it is because it feels too good to us. And here's what I want you to know from a man of experience. If you do not face and fix what you need to face, what will happen is you can either freely do it or you'll be done by force. My early 20s rock charisma. I was preaching all over the world, speaking at different churches. I was up and coming, had a church out in Lancaster, was moving, doing these things, just speaking for God, doing these, and I got caught up. Remember I told you about the mistakes? Let me tell you about one of the mistakes. My mistake was I took my eye off of him and I put my eye on a woman. I was single at the time, preaching, drawing people. Of course, there's women in the church, but I was focused, doing my deal, and all of a sudden a meal caused me to lay in a bed. A meal, macaroni and cheese roast. Listen to one of my messages. Macaroni and cheese, some roast, some corn, some stinking lemonade, country time, and some rolls.
Rolls.
That plate. Look here. Ate that food. Felt so great. And before you know it, clothes were off, slept with the woman, and here you go, downward spiral. But charisma allowed me to do this, because once you can talk, you can talk. I'm just telling you, I can talk. So when you can talk, you can talk. So I kept going, thinking, I'm going to be able to. But now you're giving people life, but you're steadily dying. So at the time, I'm in my late 20s. So I think to myself, okay, this is my spiritual person. Won't name names just for the sake of the story. But went to that person saying, I think I need 6 months off where I can go to, at the time, Apostle Lewis Greenup, who had a whole ministry of restoration. I said, I just need 6 months off, and I just want to go over there, get restored, so I can continue to fulfill my mission. And the advice came back to me. The advice that came back to me said, son, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. What God do? I'm trying to be real in front of the people. And I'm really coming to you, humble myself, telling you what I did, and you tell me don't worry about that? Later to find out why you told me that. But my point to you is there's times where you have to trust your gut. That the answer's lying within. Here's the thing I tell all of my coaching clients. The answer's not me giving to you. The answer's on your inside. It's called awareness. You only need the coach from an accountability standpoint. I was trying to be accountable, and then I followed bad advice. You have to be in a place where what checks with the word checks with what comes out the mouth. But it sent me down this place. Spiral. My point to you is you don't want to be in a place where you have to now do it. See, I grew up in the car business. We love people buying a car when they needed to buy one. But it's sure enough better to buy one when you just want to buy one. You want to change you because you want to change you, not because you need to change you.
Right.
So you got to ignite the dreamer. Number 2, you have to ignite the leader in you. The leader in you speaks about the G, growth. The G, growth. See, the leader in me says, I cannot stay the way I've been. I must grow into it. Can I tell you today, you will not shrink your way into your dream. You must grow into your dream. What are you doing that's intentional, that's helping you to grow? I mean intentional, that you know. I should be able to look at your calendar, and your calendar has a schedule with you. My family knows. I call it the bookends of my life. The first 30 minutes of my day and the last 30 minutes of my day are my time. I get up 30 extra minutes. You know why? Because it's uninterrupted. You try to do this in a schedule in the middle of your day, what happens? Interruption. Phone call, text message, pick up the kids, do this, go over here. And then before you know it, you don't do it. Get up either earlier or stay up later, and you have to be intentional about what you feed the seed. Whatever you feed is growing, and if you do not feed it, it's dying. So number 1, you got to ignite the dreamer. Number 2, you got to ignite the leader. Number 3, you have to ignite the doer. We got enough people talking about. I don't want to talk to you about what you're talking about. I want to talk to you about what I'm watching you do. You have to ignite your doer. Your doer is the C, change. It is the very thing that I can look at your actions and I know you're doing something. Right? I should be able to just look at your action and see what you're doing. Life rewards your actions, not your intentions. Finally, you got to ignite the believer. The believer is the P. That's the push. The believer is, watch this, the believer who? In you. I need you to ignite the believer in you, that you believe that you got it made. You believe that you can do this. You have to ignite the believer. So let me close. I was on the plane and I woke up from a little bit of a nap as I was writing some of this down and reviewing it. And I thought about back in the day, Winston, we in 77, so you'll remember this. We used to play this game called NBA Jam.
Yeah.
Right? When I got home last night, you know, I YouTubed that and I started watching YouTube clips of it. Just people playing the game, you know? And it was just 2 people. They would throw that ball in the air and say, them jokers could jump way up there. Yeah. And then before you know it, the little flashing little fire thing was there. He was shooting, and you would hear him. He's heating up. You said that before, he said. Then the next time he shot, he's on fire. When you think about the word ignite, that's what Pastor wants.
That's right.
He wants men that can look and say, he's heating up. See, when I start acting this thing out, it was 3 words that we've talked about, and I'm done. 3 words, you should have heard them all throughout this. It was start, continue, and finish.
That's right.
There you have it. There are things that you need to start in your life.
Right.
And it can start right here. Then there are things that you started that you just need to continue. There's messages he's already preached, and he don't need to preach another one. He just needs to tell you, go back to that one and do this. You know how I really wish church was? I really wish church was like this. I preached a good message on Sunday. Thank you for telling me, that was a good message. You know, we have to be humble. Oh, thank you, sir. Oh, good job. And then next week you expect me to do that again. You know what we really are? We're addicted to good messages.
Come on, sir.
I really should just say, don't come into the sanctuary today until you're doing what I just told you last week. And if not, let me just preach that one again. All right, turn your Bibles to John 14 and 6. And we're going to go back through this again because y'all didn't do it. So let's just go back through it. I remember y'all told me it was good. I know y'all told me that, but you didn't do it. So let's just go back through that again. All right, and I preached the same one with the same illustration, with the same fire, with the same, and hoop them home the same way. And if you come back, you didn't do it again, turn your Bible to John chapter 14, verse number 6. Well, Pastor, you preach that again? Man, I'm going to preach it until y'all do it. And I'll preach that thing all over again. Why? Because until I see it, it don't really matter.
Oh, yes.
So I'm laboring and getting me a new word and a new thought and a new this and a new illustration and a new this for you to just not do it? No. So continue. Then the third word was finish. Listen, you'll never finish what you don't start. And you'll never finish if you don't put yourself in an environment where somebody gets to challenge you. So today, this weekend, something should be ignited in you. Some of you got ignited because you just visited your past and realized, man, look how far I've come. Look how far I've come. Right? I get it. Sometimes we judge ourselves so hard, but look how far I've come. And then some of you got excited because there's still things you want to do. When you answered exercise 3 and you start talking about the new place, I heard somebody over here say they want to go to Alaska. And then somebody said they want to go. I mean, think about that. That there's still life to live.
Absolutely.
That sometimes we get stuck in today and we're not thinking about tomorrow. But guess what? Now guess what? Just go do it. Just go do it. DGCP. Dream, growth, change, push. That's our time. Father, let's pray. Father, I thank you for the men that are here. I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for Pastor having the vision to host this conference for the men. What happens when men get back in place? What happens when men get ignited? What happens when men are on fire? What happens to our families, to our lives, to our children, to our jobs, to our money, to our spiritual life? What happens when we're truly ignited with the dream? Something that you strike in us to do. Father, there's nothing that's impossible. Paul said it this way, what shall we say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? So I pray that something was said today that sparked something inside of someone, that they would start, continue, and finish the fight that you've given them. Thank you for our time. In Jesus' name, amen.